Welcome back, students, for my lesson on comparing and contrasting two characters' actions. So as you can see here, this chart looks very similar to the chart you filled out last week on Sybil Ludington and Joseph Plum Martin. However, there's a third column now. In the third column, that middle column, that's where you're going to put similarities that you find between the two characters. So you can see here, both. Okay, we're looking for how were Joseph Plum Martin and Sybil Ludington alike in the ways they demonstrated their patriotism. I've given you a sample here to look at so that you can model your three-column chart after mine, and you can see how much information you're going to need in order to compare and contrast the two characters that we are doing. I took two characters from the Revolution as well. One of those characters we read about, John Adams, and we read about him in the story Dangerous Crossing a few weeks ago. Well, it's probably been a month ago. And then I compared him to Paul Revere in how patriotic they were. So you can see here in each of the columns, I have ways that they demonstrated patriotism. When you're finished with your three-column chart and you have enough information about the two characters you're doing, Joseph Plum Martin and Sybil Ludington, then you're going to move on and use your three-column chart to make a compare and contrast paragraph. So again, I've given you a sample paragraph for you to use so that you understand what I'm looking for. This paragraph is going to be graded with the rubric that you'll see in Google Classroom. What are some things that Mrs. Tanner is really looking for in the paragraph? Well, as you might know, all paragraphs need a strong topic sentence. So here we have a strong topic sentence. Patriotism means to show love for your country in what you say and do. John Adams and Paul Revere were both patriotic people from the American Revolution who had similar and different ways they showed their patriotism. That's informing the reader what the paragraph is going to be about. Something else we're looking for in these paragraphs are text details. So, where do I have details from the stories that show how these characters demonstrated patriotism? Well, here we go. John Adams and Paul Revere risked their lives for their country. In the text Dangerous Crossing, John Adams did this by making a dangerous journey to France to ask the French for help. Then I also have a detail about how Paul Revere risked his life, and I made sure that I told where I got the information. And that information came from the poem, The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. So, we have strong topic sentence, we have text evidence with proper citation, so telling where you got the information. Then, the other two areas that you're going to need is elaboration, so explaining how each of those details showed that they risked their lives. As you can see here, I talk about how John Adams risked his life because of the weather. Remember, it was called Dangerous Crossing. It was dangerous crossing because of the storm, but also because they were at risk of being captured by another ship on their journey across the ocean. So, make sure that when you use a text detail that you're adding a little bit more of your own words explaining that to the reader. The last two areas that you'll be graded on are sentence fluency and conventions. So making sure you have good, strong sentence structure using maybe some compound or complex sentences, but then also checking for capital letters, spelling, punctuation, and even grammar. It's a good idea to read your paragraph over before you turn it in and listen to yourself so that you can hear some of the mistakes that might be there that you'll be able to fix. I hope that all of this information has been helpful to you as you get started on your compare and contrast paragraph this week. Remember, you can model your paragraph after mine. Maybe change some of the words, okay? But you have to change the characters and their actions as well, because we're not comparing John Adams and Paul Revere. Remember, you're comparing Joseph Plum Martin and Sybil Ludington and how they showed patriotism for their country in similar ways and different ways. If you have questions, you can get on a Google Hangout with me and we can walk through it together.